The Secret Life of Noah. My name is Noah. I grew up in a small religious town, raised by a deeply religious family. For most of my life, I lived by the book. Every decision, every behavior, every thought shaped by teachings, moral codes, and scripture. But there was one thing I could never pray away. I was attracted to boys. And because of where I came from, I learned to bury that truth so deep. Even I started pretending it wasn't there. I tried to be normal. Or at least, what everyone else called normal. I dated girls. Forced connections that never felt real. And with every attempt, I felt myself disappearing a little more. For years, I suffered in silence. And no matter how hard I tried to become the version of myself they wanted, something inside me kept whispering the same truth. You don't belong here. It felt like another version of me was waiting somewhere far away, calling me. And eventually, I stopped fighting it. I loved the soil I came from, but my branches were desperate for a different sky. So, I left. And for the first time in my life, I could breathe. Freedom like that doesn't feel loud. It feels quiet. Almost unfamiliar. Back home, I was the perfect son, but in this new city, I finally became myself. At least, I thought I did. Because I didn't know it yet, but both of my lives were already on a collision course. I met several men after moving here. Some relationships lasted months. Some didn't last long enough to become memories worth keeping. But for the first time in my life, I was happy. Not because everything was perfect, but because I finally stopped lying to myself. It felt like I was watering the garden of my own joy for the first time, letting the parts of me I buried finally breathe. And then, I met James. We worked in the same building. At first it was nothing special. Coffee before work, late-night conversations, comfortable silence that didn't feel empty. But slowly, something changed. The space between us grew electric, and without warning, friendship turned into something else. Love. One evening, James invited me to meet his family. I was terrified. Not because of them, but because I had never experienced acceptance before, and I didn't trust it. But when I stepped into their home, something inside me shifted. His family welcomed me with warmth I didn't know what to do with. No judgment, no questions, no conditions. Just space to exist. I took a breath. And for the first time in my life, the air didn't feel heavy. I belonged there. And maybe that was the problem. Because not long after that, James told me he wanted to meet my family too. He wanted to see where I came from, the town that raised me, the roots behind my name. But how do you bring someone into your truth when your truth has never been safe to speak? So I didn't tell him. Instead, I gave him a version of the truth that was easier to swallow. I told him my family was traditional, that they just needed time, but the truth was heavier than that. And then, my cousin came to the city. He said he needed a place to stay for a while. And suddenly, the life I had built started to crack. A quiet fear settled inside me. And I started lying more than ever. When James came around, I introduced him as a co-worker, just a friend, nothing more. At first, the lies felt small, harmless. But lies never stay small. They grow. They stack. Until you can't tell where you end and where they begin. I changed my phone wallpaper before going home, deleted messages before letting anyone near my phone, even lowered my voice whenever my family called, and through all of it, James noticed. He never accused me, never raised his voice, but I could feel it. The distance growing between us. Like he was slowly realizing something I wasn't ready to admit. He had accepted all of me, but I hadn't accepted him into my whole life. One night after another dinner with my cousin sitting between us like a wall, James finally said what I had been avoiding for months.
I know your family doesn't know me, but sometimes I feel like you don't want the world to know me either.
And that sentence broke something inside me, because deep down, he was right, and I was afraid of losing him. So I made a choice. I asked him out that Saturday, just us. No lies, no hiding, Or at least, that's what I promised myself. That night, the city felt alive, music spilling into the streets, lights blurring into color. For a few hours, I forgot what fear felt like. I forgot what hiding felt like. I forgot who I was supposed to be.
Then someone entered the cafe.
My cousin. Across the room, frozen, watching me, watching James. And then, I kissed James. And everything stopped. My cousin's expression didn't show anger. It showed shock, like the version of me he had known my entire life had just shattered in front of him. And in that moment, I knew there was no going back. My two worlds had finally collided, and all that was left was silence. Because now the only question that mattered was this: would he keep my secret? Or would my entire life finally come undone?